Hi everyone, I am Benjamin from English Classes Online. Being able to express future actions in various ways is really important in our daily communication. It allows us to talk about some events or actions that we or other people will do in time to come, all right? Well, they could be short-term or long-term events, things that we have been, things that we have planned or things that have been planned, things we think are likely to happen in future, or even things we have just decided to do, all right? Now, being able to talk about all these really gives us the ability to communicate our ideas in a variety of ways, and that will make our daily communication more effective. All right. So in today's lesson, we are going to look at different ways of expressing future actions. You have certain ideas that and events or things, that are scheduled to take place in time to come. There are different ways of talking about them, and that will be the focus of today's lesson. So let's get started right away. Now let's begin with the agenda for today's lesson. We have 11 items on our agenda because we want to look at 11 ways. All right, we want to look at 11 ways of, expressing future actions, 11 of them, okay? And so we have 11 items on our agenda to enable us to cover the 11 different ways of expressing or talking about future actions. The first one is using the future simple tense, specifically shall and will. Then the present simple, the present continuous, the future continuous, the future perfect, the future perfect continuous. Then using other ways like the phrase going to, about to, is to or are to, plan to, intend to, may, or might. All right, so we are going to look at this one by one. Now, you can use the future simple shall and will, the future simple tenses, as they are known in traditional grammar, shall and will. You can use them to talk about future actions. And the following are examples. We shall visit grandma at the weekend. Okay, so let's begin to look at this specifically. Okay, we shall visit grandma at the weekend. Okay, so this is a simple one-time action. All right, something that does not recur. It may happen from time to time, but this is one specific time that we are just going to make that visit. We shall visit grandma at the weekend. Another example is Junior will attend the evening lessons, all right, twice a week. This one now is about regular actions. You are talking about regular actions. Then the other example is I will take the umbrella. This is an instant decision. You can call it a decision you have taken spontaneously, just at that very instant, because you just notice that it's likely to rain and you decide that moment to take the umbrella. I will take the umbrella. Okay. Then the next one, the president will arrive at the airport at 10, where he will be received by the governor. He will be driven to Ikoyi, where he will commission a new health center. You see, these are planned actions. So you can use, shall and will, to talk about any of these. But then one thing you need to note is that shall is used specifically with I and we, okay? So use, use shall with I or we. Well, okay, use shall with I or we. So that's how you use it. But then will can be used with any other, will can be used with any other pronoun or noun, okay? Will. I will, we will, you will, he will, she will. So just take note of the fact that, shall, especially when you are using it for expressing future actions, should be used with either I or we. All right, while you use will with any other subject, any other type of subject, okay? So having said that, let's now proceed to our next, let's proceed to the next item, and that is using the present simple. You can use the present simple to talk about a future action in which a timetable is given or situations that happen regularly. For example, the office opens at 8 a.m. tomorrow. You see, you are talking about a future action in which a timetable is given. So here you see that a timetable is given for this already. The office opens at 8 a.m. and that means that, at work days, it is on the timetable that the office opens at 8 a.m. So the same thing is going to happen tomorrow. And so you use the simple present tense, all right, to talk about that, or the present simple, as you may call it. Then the second example, the train for Abuja leaves at midnight. In train stations, you usually have a timetable when the train for a particular place leaves and when it arrives and all that. So anything that, any future event, in which a timetable is given, then you can use the simple present to talk about it. There may not be a timetable per se, but it's, a situation that happens regularly or maybe just simply expected to happen in the near future. So you can use the simple present tense to talk about it. For example, the president departs for London at 5 o'clock this evening. All right. Well, it's partly also something of a timetable, because anything like the official movement of such an official person as the president, there's always a time schedule for that. You can call it the president's itinerary if you like. But then there is something that is already scheduled, and anything that has to do with flight, of course, you expect the president to take a flight to London. Flights are already are always scheduled, and there is a time for a flight to depart. Okay, so these are things you can talk about using the simple present. They are actually in the future. You know, ordinarily we use the simple present tense to talk about things that happen in the present time. But then we can use the same tense to talk about something that has not yet happened and is not happening yet, but is going to happen in the future. We can talk about it because it's something that is already, you know, in the timetable. There's already a given timetable for it. So mostly when you want to talk about the future, then there are certain tenses you can use to talk about future actions that are scheduled, or there's already an arrangement for it, or there's a timetable for it. Well, this one is almost certain. It's already certain because it is in the timetable and it happens all the time. You know, like in the office, always opens officially at 8 a.m. So it's something that is guaranteed. So you can use the simple present tense to talk about things like that. Now, having said that, let's then move to our next item, and we look at, you know, how to talk about the future actions using the present continuous. You can use the present continuous to talk about future arrangements. There are arrangements for certain things. For example, Uncle Dave is visiting us tonight. There's an arrangement about that. We are having a feast for my sister's marriage tomorrow. It's something already arranged. There are arrangements towards that. I am spending the whole of this weekend in the village. You know, something that, you know, is arranged. You know, you can talk about future arrangements, you know, using the present continuous tense. Now, the next one is the future continuous tense. You can use the future continuous tense to talk about future actions, all right? For example, at 10 a.m. tomorrow, I will be hosting a seminar at the event center, okay? You are using the future continuous tense. I will be hosting. I will be hosting a seminar at the event center. Next week, the family will be traveling to the village. You know, this is using the future continuous tense. And here you are talking about future actions generally. And so you can use the future continuous tense to talk about them. Okay? Then the future perfect can be used to show an action that will be completed before a given time or another action in the future. For example, James will have traveled to 5 other countries before the end of the year. You see, James will have, no, this has not actually happened, okay? And this is why we can talk about it. James will have traveled. So we are looking at 2 actions in the future, and we are using the future perfect tense to project into the future hypothetically, so to say. You know, this is a product of imagination, you know, and we are saying that James will have traveled to 5 other countries before the end of the year. We are speculating about something that is likely to occur in the future. And here we are looking at 2 actions, you know. One, he's traveling to other countries before the end of the year, okay? The year ending is one thing, then he's the event or the action of his traveling to 5 other continents, okay, is one. Then another example is the train will have left before you get to the station. There are two things here, you know, the train leaving, okay, the train leaving is one action we are looking at, the train leaving. Please, I don't want to cover this entirely. So the train leaving, is one thing, then you getting to the station is another. So these are two things. When you are looking at two actions or two events likely to happen in the future, and one is going to occur before the other, the train will have left. That's one action that will happen before you're getting to the station. All right. So you are looking at two actions, and one comes before the other. Then another example is the meeting will have started before Mr. Williams arrives. Okay, probably you are expecting Mr. Williams or Williams' arrival, to the meeting, and then you now hear that his car broke down on the way, and you can say, well, the meeting will not wait endlessly for Mr. Williams. So the meeting will likely have started before Mr. Williams arrives. So you can see that with this method of expressing future actions, you can really explore and express a lot of ideas. And then you can communicate very complex ideas with clarity using this methods. Okay, so now let's move on and look at the next way of expressing future actions, and that is using the future perfect continuous. Using the future perfect continuous. Now, the future perfect can be used to describe actions that continue up until a point in the future. For example, by 2023, the family will have been living in Lagos for 5 years. You know, it's also a kind of projection and speculation, all right? No, but this is a little bit more realistic because there is a mathematical or arithmetic calculation that can be done if you know exactly when the family, started living in Lagos. And then from the point of speaking, you can calculate how many years the family will have been living in Lagos, by 2023, okay? Let's take as an example, now we are in 2022, and probably, let's say, the family came into Lagos. Well, remove 5 years from 2023, and what you have will be 2018. So we can say that, the family probably came into Lagos 2018 or thereabout. You can do the math yourself. I may not be quite accurate. So, but just as an example, so then you can calculate and say, okay, by 2023, the family will have been living in Lagos for 5 years. Now, another example is at 4 o'clock, I will have been waiting for 3 hours. You get to a place, you are waiting for someone, and then you are spending, quite a long time. You took note of when you came in there and when you started waiting for this fellow, and hour after hour, the fellow has not yet come. Probably you are waiting for him or her at the office. Then you can actually project, and we have been waiting for 3 hours. Let's assume, okay, you already know when you arrive there, you can check. So probably you are even at the bank and, someone, is keeping you waiting, not attending to you. And so as a way of lodging your complaint, you can say, look, this was when I came in and I started waiting, and look at, probably someone else came just a few minutes ago and the person was attended to, and you are wondering whether your own is a different thing. Say, look, at 4 o'clock, we have been waiting here for 3 hours and yet no one has attended to me. You can launch such a complaint to the most senior officer in that organization. So then another example is in December, Mark will have been working in that company for 7 years. It's also something you can project. So using the future perfect continuous, you can actually come with projections, and this way of expressing future ideas, future actions, future events is really very helpful, especially when you want to communicate your ideas more effectively. Okay, for example, if you are lodging a complaint to someone and you come up with your time calculation and say, look, I came in here at such a time and I've been waiting since then. And it's almost 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, I will have been waiting here for 3 hours. And some people came in just a few minutes ago and they were attended to. So what's really happening here? Things like that, okay? So different situations can really require the use of different kinds of ways to express your future actions or future ideas or future realities or future situations, if you like. Then we can use the expression going to, all right? Going to is actually similar to present continuous, okay? I am going to do something, he's going to do something. So going to is used to talk about future intended and scheduled actions. For example, of course, when an action is already scheduled and there is evidence or certainty that it will be done, then you can use going to, and the structure is be plus going to plus the base form of the verb. For example, Mark is going to leave for Canada next week. Mark is going to leave for Canada next week. This means that there are arrangements have been made, probably has bought the ticket already. So you can say that for sure, Mark is going to leave for Canada next week. Now, another example is we are going to visit Grandma this weekend. Probably it has already been agreed by all those who are going to make that visit. It has been agreed and we've concluded arrangements, okay? You can say, as soon as I get to the office, I'm going to send someone to cash the check. It's what I have decided and it's certain that it will be done. It's a scheduled action. Another example is Jane is going to take the IELTS test on Tuesday. In this case, an IELTS test is a scheduled event. It's going to take place at a given time. Okay. Now, another example is it's going to rain. Now, you look at the sky and you see the sky is cloudy already. That's the evidence. And because of that evidence, you are almost certain that it's going to rain. So you can say it is going to rain tonight, or it is going to rain tomorrow morning, or it is going to rain all day, depending on the evidence you have seen. Or sometimes there is a report, by on the news, people who actually report, who come with weather reports. And so that also can be a kind of evidence, and you can say, look, you had better go with an umbrella. It is certain it's going to rain. this afternoon. It is going to rain, okay? So that is another way of talking about future events. Another way is to use about to. About to. About to is often used to talk about an immediate future action. The doctor is about to start the operation. All right. You are uh, in the hospital, and your loved one is actually going to undergo an operation, and there's another relative, calling you on the phone to know the situation. And you can say, well, the doctor is about to start the operation, all right? Or, they are about to wheel him or her to the theater, something that will shortly happen. You use it to talk about an immediate future action, all right? It could be something even that requires immediate action on the part of the person you are talking to. For example, you can say the meeting is about to commence. The meeting is about to commence. Someone who is supposed to be at the meeting and is not yet there, and there is need for him or her to be present at the meeting. And so the appropriate thing is to tell him or her, look, the meeting is about to commence, something that will happen in the immediate future, okay? Then another way of expressing future actions is the use of is or are to. Is to or are to, all right? We can use this to talk about future expectations or even compulsory actions. When something has to be done. For example, Junior is to do his assignment later. Well, this can be an expectation. Junior is to do his assignment later, which means I expect Junior to do his assignment later, all right? Probably Junior is doing something else, or Junior is allowed to rest, but then he has to do his assignment. So Junior is to do his assignment later. That is an expectation. Now, it will be a compulsory action when you say whosoever broke the cup is to replace it. Whoever broke this cup is to replace it. Probably you are in a position of authority in that area, in that place, and you are giving a categorical instruction. Whoever broke this cup is to replace it. So it's compulsory. Okay. Now, another way of talking about future actions is to use plan to. Plan to is used to talk about future plans or intentions, all right? For example, they plan to adopt a child. You are talking about the plans that a family who have been grappling with childlessness, all right? Not being able to have a child of their own, and you are privy to their plan to adopt a child. So you can say they plan to adopt a child. Another example is I plan to rent a new apartment. I plan. So it is basically used to talk about future plans or intentions. Or another example is she plans to start an online business. So you can use plan to discuss future plans, future intentions, things that, intended actions, things that you intend to do. Now, intend to actually is also another way of talking about a similar thing. You can use intend to talk about future plans or intentions, just as you can use plan to. For example, how do you intend to spend the long holiday? How do you intend? That is, what are your intentions, for this holiday? What are you going to do? You can say, I intend to spend the holiday in Owerri. I intend to spend the holiday in the Bahamas. I intend to spend the holiday in Paris. I intend to spend the holiday in Dubai. All right? You are talking about your future intentions, all right? Then another example is today I intend to repaint my house. That is your intention. Probably someone is asking, if you can participate in another activity, and you are saying, well, I'm not really free the whole of today. Today I intend to repaint my house. That's my plan for today. That's what I intend to do. Then the last but not the least is the use of may or might. May or might can be used to talk about future possibilities. It's not being spoken with certainty or assurance, like when you have already made arrangements, you have bought a ticket for your flight and all that, or a test or an exam is fixed, or a meeting is going to commence. This is not in the realm of, certainties, or something that is actually scheduled, or there is a timetable for it. Is something that may or may not happen, but it's a way of talking about the future as well. For example, we may go to the beach today. We may go to the beach today. It may rain this morning. You look at the sky, it's cloudy, but you are not really sure whether this particular weather is such that gives you the assurance that it's going to rain. So you are not really saying it's going to rain. Because of the sign you have seen, you are saying it may rain this morning. And what you are saying is that it may or may not rain, as a matter of fact. Then another example is Joe might be picked for the job. All right. You are just looking at Joe's chances of getting the job. And well, you are, expressing the probability of Joe getting picked for the job. And you are saying Joe might be picked for the job. Okay. So these are the various ways in which you can actually express future actions, okay? And you have to understand that, any of these can actually might be really something you might need at one time or the other. And that is why we have been able to look at it today. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. We have discussed 11 ways. Wow, 11 ways of expressing future actions. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like the video and share the video with your friends and relations, okay? Because gaining proficiency in the use of English is about being able to, communicate your ideas with clarity. And this is what we have shared with you on this video. So if you enjoyed the video, like the video with your friends and relations, and make sure you subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. If you have subscribed to the channel, then you should also remember to activate the notification system by clicking on the notification bell. There is a bell below. Just click on the bell icon, and that will ensure that whenever I upload a new video on this channel, you will be notified instantly. I have a free PDF ebook for you in the description section. It is about the basic units of English grammar. So if you are interested in it, just click on that link and download that ebook free of charge. There are other ebooks that you might also find useful in your English learning activities and in your determination to achieve proficiency in the use of English or pass your English exams, whichever is actually your aim. then this book will be, any of these ebooks you will find there will be very useful to you. There's one of them which is titled Good Success in English. It is a complete study package for effective English learning. So I recommend that you get a copy of that book. Just click on the link in the description box and you'll be able to get a copy for yourself. So having said that, I need to add that if you have any questions, any suggestions, any comments, kindly leave them in the comments section below. I want to say a big thank you to all of you out there for being part of today's episode. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Goodbye for now and remain blessed.